Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar brought to you by Bursa Malaysia and managed by our company LifeChamp. Our webinar title today is Unlocking Investment Potentials in Sarawak. So my name is Shen Chu. I'm the moderator for this webinar. Now, have you ever wondered what would be the investment potential in Sarawak? Today, our speaker, Charlie, will share his view about this investment potential in Sarawak. So before we begin, disclaimer, what we will share today is only for educational purpose. In no way that I give any recommendation for you to buy or sell any listed securities that we mentioned here. If you decide to make any investment decisions, you're 100% responsible for all investment risk. Now, allow me to briefly introduce our speaker today. He is a distinguished CFA charter holder and also Chief Operating Officer of Optimus. With 10 years of experience, he brings a wealth of experience with a proven track record of success. He is a former equity research analyst and also a proprietary trader. He spearheaded a team that emerged as champions in the inaugural Bursa Invest Hack 2020. He's none other than Mr. Charlie Yuan. Charlie, how are you today?
Hi, Chunxian. Hi, audience. Good day to everyone.
Yeah, good to see you here. Okay, glad to have you join our Bursa webinar. So we can't wait to learn from you about the investment potential in Sarawak. So I will just hand over the session to you, Charlie.
Thank you, Chunxian. Let me share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay, so today I picked Sarawak because I do feel that Sarawak has a really great potential. And then for Sarawak is actually not a state per se, it's a federal state, and everyone is talking about that. They have a more superior standing in Malaysia at this point of time. And then with Sarawak, we can see that there's a lot of development coming up. Like last year, they approved them to have a lot of, all these I will cover more later. I'll just briefly talk about them now. So you can see that there's a lot of flights, and you can have direct flights coming in Sarawak and then out of Sarawak because they own a airline company, and also they have their own education system, and the government focuses a lot on digital and also high-tech industry, including they recently signed agreement with Huawei to build smart city and also smart technology stuff, IoT stuff. And one of the reasons they can have so much great potential is also they are collecting because they are a petroleum and natural gas state, and then they are collecting sales tax starting from January 2020, and then with the sales tax they have more fund for development, and then their standing now is actually really great as per se. And yeah, so if you guys are very savvy in investment market, then you guys do know that Johor is a very strong team. In the last few months or maybe even last year, Johor, a lot of stocks really rally. A lot of direct investment actually goes into Johor. And then today's session, I will actually tell you that Sarawak is actually also coming up. And then Sarawak has a lot of FDI as well, and a lot of very great potential project going on in Sarawak. And all that makes Sarawak a very potential place to invest, where there we will mention a lot of stocks as well in this webinar. But then all the stocks mentioned will be for education purpose. I'm not here to give any advice. So please do your discretion if you were to buy the stock mentioned by me, or I will just briefly mention through like 5 to 10 stocks like that, that is related to Sarawak, so that you guys do have gauge what stocks is like have potential in Sarawak as well. So before that, I will introduce Sarawak first, and to tell you that why Sarawak has such a great potential, because everyone know that Johor team already, like the team play of Johor, a lot of stock went out, like Yuan Sunrise, a lot of stock lah. And then Sarawak will probably be the next team, which is not advice, but then is a very strong potential place for you to search for investment idea lah. So first of all, strategic location. So why do I say that the Borneo Island or Sarawak per se, Sabah Sarawak, this region is a very strategic location, and nevertheless is at the heart of the ASEAN countries. So you can see that it is in the middle of China, Australia, and then if goods are transported from the west, then they may come through Malacca State and then may come to Sabah Sarawak as well. So the first reason is the strategic location, which they are positioning along the South China Sea, where they can have shipping lanes connecting East Asia, including Japan, Korea, China, and the rest of Asia, and also they can connect to Middle East, Europe. So the transportation is already very mature, and then is strategically located in international shipping lanes. So with more export import coming in and out of Sarawak, you will see that because with more export and import, the GDP, the growth have more. All these numbers will pick up soon, and this is the first reason, which is the strategic location. Second reason of the strategic location, because everyone do know that there's a lot of oil and gas resources along this area. If you can see my mouse clearly, my purple mouse. And why is Philippines or even Japan, they cannot harness on all those oil and gas or natural gas? Because these two countries, they are actually inside the Ring of Fire. So for Sarawak, Sarawak itself is outside of Ring of Fire, so they can easily build the oil rig and a lot of equipment to extract the oil and then filter the oil and all the process for oil and gas. So if there's an oil rig in Philippines or Japan, then it's very dangerous because earthquake can easily happen, or tsunami then can really cause damage to the oil rig. So that's the second reason, which means that it's outside the Ring of Fire. The third reason, the strategic location, is because for Indonesia, they are actually shifting their capital to Kalimantan. So with their new capital in Kalimantan, of course, there will be a lot of investment and also a lot of great development happening in Kalimantan. And then previously, Sarawak is linked with Indonesia capital via sea, and now is linked via land. So with a land, and there are also many road building up to link with Sarawak itself have 3 lanes that link with Kalimantan, and then with Kalimantan coming up, there will be more opportunity for Sarawak as well. And of course, Sarawak is very rich in natural resources, and they are very powerful in their hydropower, which means that the hydropower are producing a lot of energy, and then with all those energy, they can actually facilitate all those heavy industrial development, which are happening in Bintulu or Samalaju, which is 2 of its very famous industrial park. And also they have a lot of heavy industry over there. And because of hydropower, Sarawak is also the best place for hydrogen energy, green hydrogen energy. So hydrogen energy and hydropower are two different things. I will dive into more in the later slide lah. So this is the strategic location for Sarawak. And for Sarawak, the land is equivalent, because if you see this number, you may not have a good picture, but then it's equivalent to Peninsula Malaysia minus Negeri Sembilan. So you can think that the entire Peninsula Malaysia, if you minus out the land area of Negeri Sembilan, then you will get roughly the land area of Sarawak. So it's actually very big. It's the largest state in Malaysia with the largest land size. And then you can see coming up next will be Sabah, Pahang, but then Sarawak is the largest with of course there are a lot of forestry area, but we'll talk about that more later. And the second thing is emerging as an investment hub, offering cost competitive advantage. So there's a lot of investment coming in Sarawak. I will just briefly mention a few first, which include China, LONGi. They are investing their solar technology, so they want to manufacture solar panel in Sarawak. So why are all these? There are so much investment coming into Sarawak because of the green energy and also the capability of hydro energy that provide to all those companies. So that because now we want to go green and ESG is a very hot topic, so we are actually looking into more green energy lah. So one is the China LONGi green energy, and also South Korea also invests in hydrogen, green hydrogen, and also a lot more. We'll actually talk about that in the later slide, in the FDI slide. And also there's a good transportation linkage. So you can see that they have deep sea port, which is located in Bintulu. So the deep sea port actually allowed them to actually have more shipment, and then capable to ship all those material for the industrial, the heavy industrial. And because deep sea port is very scarce, and to able to build a deep sea port, you actually need the sea level to be deep enough, and then you need to ensure that the port can be free from natural disaster, common natural disaster. So this is the infrastructure in Sarawak. So you can see that there are 6 seaports, Kuching Port, Rajang Port, Tanjung Manis Port, Bintulu Deep Sea Port, Samaju Deep Sea Port, Miri Port, and also 7 Airport, Kuching International Airport, Cebu Airport, Bintulu Airport, Mulu Airport, Limbang Airport. And you can see that Pan Borneo Highway actually also connect from the south of Sarawak up until north of Limbang, and even connect to Sabah. So for Pan Borneo Highway, Sarawak part is around 95% to 100% ready. So Pan Borneo is ready and up in Sarawak, and it can actually link a lot of cities, and you can see the entire chain is here. And there's also a proposed new seaport at Tanjung Empang, and at the southern region with the oil and gas, and also future expansion into a deep sea port for Kuching Port as well. And the busiest port is Bintulu, and followed up by Kuching Port. And there's also proposed development of integration with industrial development with the DC port, because for Sarawak, they have a lot of strategic planning, and one thing strong about Sarawak is their airline, their airport actually actually they own their airline company straight lah. So for example, if Sarawak own the airline straight, then they can actually plan and also allocate wherever they want to fly to. So now they can build more airport. So we are coming to see more. We will be coming to see more airport in Sarawak, and also they can fly to any foreign country. Before that, all the flights are connected via Peninsula, which is our KLIA or KLIA2. So moving on, if Sarawak want to fly to Indonesia or there's demand for any country, then Sarawak citizen can fly straight from their airport, their international airport. So that is actually a very strong point because this only happened last year where they own the airline company. And yeah, and you can see that all the port is connected by the Pambonia. And one thing we need to mention is the Sarawak Corridor of Renewable Energy, the SCORE. So what is the SCORE? SCORE is actually we are leveraging on the green energy of Sarawak, and you can see over here there's actually a few area, and SCORE is actually the yellow area, yellow cover area. And between SCORE, they actually want to reduce the gap between the urban and the rural area. So we all know that Kuching and the southern part is more developed, and for rural area with more forestry or agricultural land, they may be less developed. So to be able to reduce the gap is also one of the aim of the SCORE. So SCORE is launched in 2008 and then it's still ongoing up until 2030. And it actually creates a lot of investment. So they actually have different area and also different focus on each area. And yeah, so you can see that the SCORE is not the entire Sarawak. They span not entire Sarawak. It's only span 80% of the land of Sarawak. And the remaining are the more developed urban area. And you do know that this area is filled with more clean renewable energy, which is our hydro energy, which allow heavy industrial company coming into this area, Samalaju, and then they have focus for each place. And then there's also like aluminium, bauxite, and that's why we do know that Press Metal, which is also a very strong team play company in Sarawak, Press Metal actually need a lot of energy, green energy, hydro energy to produce their final product, which is aluminium product. And you can see that each of these places have their focus lah. And how do they bridge the gap between urban and rural area? Because this area is already really developed, so they actually try to focus more on this yellow area so that there's more job creation as well and economic diversification, because we do not necessarily need a city to manufacture. There's more manufacturing can happening in elsewhere with a better infrastructure. And the SCORE also helps to build a lot of all this infrastructure lah. So like bridge, road, and also all those electricity and also water connectivity to be able to access into more rural area. A lot of infrastructure development is happening to connect all this inner land. And also skill development education. So they have their own education system, which allow more focus on the demand or expertise that they want. However, for now, one of Sarawak biggest challenge will be their talent. So they are really hunger for talent, and they want to build the talent stream up lah. So that's why all their education system are available in Sarawak, which allowed them to have their own. They are trying to have their own education system, which allowed people to learn stuff that is focused on their development, including technology, IT stuff, and also smart city stuff. And also with all those connectivity, it should actually attract a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment. And you can see the 10 priority industry happening in this Sarawak is all this agriculture, mining, manufacture. But then there's actually some focus on each area. For example, for Samaraju, they are focusing a lot on heavy and energy intensive industries, which are available in Samaraju Industrial Park, including Press Metal, OM Holdings, which is a double listing company from Australia and is listed in Bursa as well. And for Muka, so we can see the Smart Cities Services Hub. We actually are seeing China Dade Group, DADE. They are also having investment in this area. And Tanjung Manis, which focus on Hala Hub. And Barrio, you can see HEP, oil palm, and it's more like agriculture or even ecotourism stuff. And Tuno also something similar for these two parts because it's an inner area. So for inner area, you will see that it's still more applicable and more appropriate for the agriculture and also forestry area, which is will tailor for all this industry. So for Sarawak, and there are two plans happening on Sarawak. One is the 12 Malaysia plan, 12 MP, and one is post-COVID development strategy 2030. So what's the difference? 12 MP is actually from the federal government, and post-COVID development strategy is from Sarawak itself. So for the federal, they are actually expecting and targeting Sarawak to grow at the rate of 5.3% in their GDP. So every year growing 5.3%. And where else for their Sarawak themselves, they are targeting to grow like 8% per annum, which means that every year they want to grow 8%. So they are setting their target even higher than the federal government. And for 8%, they are actually hitting them very closely, and which is they are on track on the 8% growth annually, which means that the Sarawak is actually pouring in or investing more money in themselves, because if you want to grow at this rate, Sarawak itself actually, the Sarawak government itself actually need a lot of capital, and then with more injection of capital into their state, this is actually happening for Sarawak. So they are more aggressive and even aggressive than the target given by federal government, which is Malaysia, our entire Malaysia. So you can see that, and also post-COVID, this by far 12 Malaysia plan will end in 2025, and then post-COVID will end in 2030, the development strategy plan. So you can see that after pandemic, they want to come back stronger and then more resilient economy and sustainable economic growth. And they have a lot of plan in mind, including job opportunities and household income. They are targeting to raise their household median income to 15,000, which is one family in Sarawak. They are aiming for 15,000 median income by 2030 and creating this 200,000 new jobs. And with the reduction of urban and rural development gaps, which means that they are developing the Sarawak as a whole instead of just the developed cities. They are actually looking through all places and to fit in any investment and development that's fit. So actually for Sarawak, they had their Invest Sarawak. So Invest Sarawak is It's a body, it's a body formed by Sarawak government, and then with in West Sarawak, they had one conference last month in February, where a lot of European countries came over to Sarawak, and we will see more potential investment coming in from their side as well. So Sarawak is very hungry for investment and also development for their cities. And for economic structure, they want to move more towards, because traditionally they are more upstream, like for example, crude palm oil, agriculture stuff, forestry, or natural gas extraction. All these are more upstream. So they are looking into more downstream activities, including manufacturing and also the green hydrogen project, all those. So with all those green hydrogen project, they will be one of the core place for this hydrogen to be, because for hydrogen, for Sarawak, they are actually exporting more of their hydrogen. They are planning to export more of their hydrogen energy instead of using in Sarawak. So if you talk about hydrogen energy, we are looking into export of that to the world, which include to Japan, to Korea, and a lot of places. So coming to the next segment, we'll talk about a little bit numbers of Sarawak. So you can see that Sarawak nominal GDP is 146 billion, and then you can see that national contribution is 9.3% in 2022, and it's just behind Selangor, KL, and Johor. And Johor is around, because I only collected the data for 2022, Johor was 9.4%, and Sarawak is 9.3% in terms of the national contribution of the GDP. So you can see that Sarawak is really, really near to Johor, and now it's the fourth largest contributor. And then KL itself is around 16%, and Selangor is around 25%. So we do know that Selangor focuses a lot of manufacturing, and KL is our capital. So these two, this capital and this state obviously is very popular for our investment and development. However, you can see that Johor and Sarawak is coming up, and they are bridging the gap. They are actually developing, and their GDP growth are even stronger than their growth is stronger than KL and Selangor. And you can see that Sarawak is very near to Johor, and at the beginning I do mention that Johor team already rallied, but then Sarawak team is still looking around. Maybe after more people know about the opportunity, they will actually have more development. There'll be more investment in Sarawak related company. So there's actually a strong Sarawak transformation. Over the past year, you can see that Sarawak is transforming from agriculture to industrialization. So there's actually, they want to add more value to their industry. So it's not just pure agriculture or oil and gas. They are coming up with more industrialization, with more heavy industry company coming into Samalaju industrial park or other industrial park available in Sarawak. So with all this, you can actually see that Sarawak can export and import more stuff. So if a port they're only able to import stuff or able to export stuff, then the shipping the ship may not be so efficient. So for efficient transportation, you need both sides, export and import. So this is actually happening to Sarawak. And why can they develop this industrialization? Partly due to the abundant energy resources from the hydropower. And with the hydropower, they have roughly roughly 2/3 of peninsula energy lah. So if you see that the energy, if you are buying electrical energy, so Sarawak one will be around previously I see is like 2/3 or half of it lah, which means that it's definitely cheaper, and then it's also green energy from hydro energy. And you can see that the main driver of growth of Sarawak is in this area, which includes services, manufacturing, mining, quarrying, agriculture, construction. For services, we are looking at tourism, retail, wholesale trade, and telecommunication, because services is a very big area. And transportation, for like manufacturing, they are actually building up their manufacturing, and there will be more like electronic component and board. For example, Longi is coming in to Sarawak to build their solar panel. And then also mining and quarrying, you are seeing aluminum bauxite in Kuching, where press metal is one of a very potential company, because for now, aluminum bauxite is available in Kuching and then transported over to Samaju Industrial Park. Then press metal will be able to process them as well. And this is the entire chain in Sarawak lah. And over here, you can see that the red is 2011 and blue is 2022. And you can see that there's strong growth in all the area over here. And this is the 2022 GDP of Sarawak compared to 12 Malaysia plan. So you can see over here, services they are planning to hit 12 Malaysia plan is 2025 and just next year lah. So 2022 data, I don't have the latest data. So you see the gaps actually very near, and then they are somehow they will obviously reach their target. And with the 8% GDP growth outlined in post-COVID development by Sarawak, you can see that, So you can see that the development is coming close to the target. And this one, I will just briefly talk about major export, LNG, liquefied natural gas, palm oil, crude petroleum, aluminium, petroleum stuff. These are the 5 major export. 5 major import are machinery, because there's a lot of factory setting up, manufacturing factory setting up, so that obviously there's a lot of machinery imported into Sarawak. Chemical and all this food, mineral fuel, lubricant. And one thing to take note is we do know that for Malaysia, we actually export high quality petroleum to the rest of the world. And then most of our petrol we are imported from elsewhere. So you can see that to see LNG and petroleum as the major export is definitely not something strange or something new to everyone. So okay. And Sarawak investment landscape, we do see that foreign direct investment in Sarawak is very strong. The first one is Johor, approved investment in 2022. The first one is Johor. Second one is Selangor. Coming out with Sarawak is the ranked third. And we do see that Sarawak in like these few years with more initiatives like Invest Sarawak is coming up. Actually, Sarawak FTI also picking up. So it's third out of all the states. And you can definitely see that in 2023, in the first 3 quarters, these are the amount of investment, including in manufacturing, primary services. So sometimes the statistical department, they do break down further, but then we are just looking at the big figure. So for export, we do that the investment, we do see many company coming in, and we will talk more in the later slide. the key industrial and sectors. So we are looking into 3 key industrial and sectors. The first one is green energy. We do know that hydrogen energy and hydro energy is coming up strong. Construction with all those Pan Borneo Highway, North Coast Highway, and also more development, infrastructure development coming up. So construction is also definitely something to look at. Oil and gas as well as LNG or petroleum company, they are actually still really strong in that area. So these are the main 3 pillars of growth in Sarawak. First one, I'll talk about the infrastructure, which are related to all those construction as well, which covers construction as well. So in the budget 2024 construction allocation of 5.8 billion. So you see that this is the allocation towards from federal government, but down here you can see the allocation from the state government. So they are actually allocating more fund, more investment for the development expenditure. So they are more aggressive. They want to develop Sarawak up even faster. And then you can see that it even exceed the desire of federal government. Their pace is even faster than the federal government. And they are attracting a lot of FDI coming in, and I will list them all later. And yeah, so you can see that with all the investment coming into Sarawak, definitely Sarawak is a very strong place to think of for the next investment. The next one is the CUTS KUTS project. So CUTS is actually similar to, if you want to, because many may not understand what is CUTS. So CUTS, you can think it as the MRT version of Kuching or Sarawak. So they are building up this MRT system. But the difference between MRT and CUTS is CUTS runs on the land, and they are running on, so now they are running on hydrogen energy. So with hydrogen energy, they are going green electricity, making the infrastructure in the CUTS more ESG friendly, and for this area CUTS, there are 3 lines, and also this accessible to the Kuching International Airport. And this is one of their infrastructure project, which has already they have 3 lines, and then 31 station and 1 interchange station. Blue line package 2 and green line package are yet to be awarded. And then for route, they have Pan Borneo Sarawak, which involves 98% completed, around 780 km of route. So with this, there's more linkage between Kalimantan as well, and also Sabah, and also because you need to develop a land, you need to have the infrastructure first. So all these are really, really important. And for North Coastal Highway as well, so it's scheduled to commence from 2025, which is next year, and which is also they are building up 4-lane highway. So there's a lot of infrastructure happening in Sarawak, and these are some examples. And then also in line are this renewable energy project. So this 4 is some of their very strong projects, which include green hydrogen production project. So this green hydrogen production project, they are using technology from Korea and also Japan, and I'll talk more about them in the later slide. So you can see that with the green hydrogen, you definitely, for green hydrogen to happen, they actually need to have hydro energy available, or a lot of energy, a lot of intensive energy available to extract the hydrogen out from the water. And second is CCUS. CCUS is actually carbon capture storage. So this one, if you are manufacturing, definitely there's carbon dioxide we are releasing carbon dioxide. So CCUS actually, this kind of project actually capture all this carbon and you reutilize this carbon to reduce the pollution to be released to our ozone layer. So CCUS is this kind of project lah. And water supply project, hydropower dam development plans, all these are available in Sarawak. So I will talk more deeply about the hydrogen energy, because hydrogen energy, some of you may be very new on this concept, because hydrogen energy is like the cutting edge technology that is available in the world as well. And why is Sarawak able to capture this technology? And okay, so why Sarawak for hydrogen hub? And hydrogen, there are 6 energy transition layer, and then hydrogen is one of it. So Sarawak are able to produce a lot of green energy, because hydrogen energy and hydropower is 2 different things. Hydropower is you are using the water that go through the dam, and then you generate a lot of electricity. And then with the electricity or any energy, then you can produce this green hydrogen energy. So back to our high school, a bit of our chemistry. So water is actually H2O, and hydrogen is actually H2. Hydrogen is H, and then oxygen is O. So hydrogen is actually very combustive, and if it's like released to the air, and then if it mixed up with the oxygen, then it will actually produce a strong combustion and a strong energy, and then it will become back to water lah. So water make into hydrogen energy, and the hydrogen, when they are using up their energy, coming back to water form again. So this is some chemistry. And then during high school chemistry, you would know that to be able to extract hydrogen out of the water, actually you need a lot. The process is not easy lah, and the technology is very high end, because hydrogen is the smallest element in our chemical periodic table, and then it's definitely very complex for it to be harnessed into energy. And then most of the hydrogen energy that Sarawak is producing will be exported. And to be able to transport hydrogen, because hydrogen, you are seeing it in gas form, so you need to liquefy all this hydrogen, and you need to liquefy hydrogen into methyl trichlorohexane production, and then they will be exported out from the just like natural gas. Natural gas is a gas form. They need to be liquefied into LNG, liquefied natural gas. Then only they can export into China or Japan. And for hydrogen, it's the same thing, because it's in gas form. You need to be liquefied first into through a liquefied carrier to methyl trichlorohexane production, and then to be transported to other countries. So most of the hydrogen produced in Sarawak will be exported, and it will be a very important hub for this development, and a lot of company will come around this hydrogen energy, green hydrogen energy. And definitely hydrogen energy they are used more in like transportation, like for example the KOTS, their train, is it called tram? I think it's called tram. Their tram, they are using hydrogen energy. So you can see that it's actually the application is very wide, and Yeah, so but most of them will be exported after the production went up. So Sarawak has the capacity to pioneer in hydrogen fuel, given that in Kuching 6 hydrogen fuel refilling pump. So all the refilling pump, and so with auto station and hydrogen car, so it's not so much about using them in Sarawak, but then it's about exporting all this hydrogen energy out. And to come up with the hydrogen energy, you will need power generation, which includes the dam available in hydropower available in Sarawak. So over here, you can see that there's actually including the Ballet Dam, you are seeing like the total megawatt of the power generation now is 5.6 gigawatt total up. So if like you see Bakun, this is the largest dam now, it's producing 2,400. And total up everything, you are seeing like 4.6 gigawatt. And then by 2030, Sarawak wants to increase their energy up to 8 gigawatt. So 8 gigawatt, you are actually seeing a big jump. And Bakum Dam is actually the largest dam in Southeast Asia. And then we are seeing more dam coming up. And then it's not just hydro energy, solar energy as well. And also they are looking into algae energy as well. So which is a very new thing also lah. ALGAE. I'm not sure whether I'm pronouncing it correctly. So with the green energy, there's a lot of project coming in, like hydrogen plant by 2025. So for hydrogen plant, we are seeing like they are actually this green hydrogen, the largest one actually are coming from China lah, because they are aiming to produce more hydrogen plant. But then the numbers that I'm seeing is actually quite near to China. Sarawak alone, the green hydrogen energy that wants to be produced is actually quite compatible with China capacity. So for hydrogen plant, they are building up one plant in Kuching and two plant in Bintulu. And these are their 2025 and 2027 are their expected date to serve the export market. And with all this hydrogen plant, there's a lot of hydrogen project. And we are seeing a lot of investment coming in, including the hibiscus project and also the Hornbill project. So for all the project, most of them, the joint venture are coming in from South Korea and also Japan. So if you see the Hornbill project, so the Hornbill project, you are seeing companies like Japanese company like oil company like ENEOS, ENEOS, and also trading house Sumitomo Corp. So these are the development of the hydrogen producing plant. And for hibiscus, we are actually looking into Korea company lah. So all these are actually which include Lotte Chemical and also Samsung Engineering. Okay, so you can see there's a lot of foreign company investing in this hydrogen project for Sarawak as well, and it's expected to generate additionally 2.4 billion to Sarawak GDP by 2030, which is a big figure lah. There are more opportunities, including solar energy and also hydrogen-based industries, cable sector as well. All these are on the green energy part of Sarawak. Okay. And for oil and gas, previously I mentioned is out of the ring of fire. So for oil and gas, actually around 26% of the natural gas are harnessed in Sarawak. And then you can see that Petronas also released their because if you want to dive into oil and gas, then Petronas guideline development development guideline is definitely something to look at. And I've looked through their guideline, and then they are actually quite optimistic as well with all those oil and gas production and also capacity coming out. So oil and gas resources, we still have them in this area, and they can actually still be a bridging factor when in future hydrogen comes in. There's a green energy options. So Sarawak is also transforming, and they also do not want to rely fully on petroleum or oil and gas. They're coming up with green energy and also hydrogen energy, which is something good to look at. And also there's diversify revenue stream, which make them more competent in the world market as well. Okay, so Sarawak gas roadmap, you can see that currently, for example, pet gas, PTGS, pet gas, petroleum gas, they are actually more towards Peninsula lah. And then so for Sarawak, they are building up their gas roadmap as well lah, to link up all these cities. So this is not that important lah. Okay, so carbon capture, utilization, and storage. This one we can see that by capturing back the carbon dioxide, then there's a different area of industry happening. So the industrial to benefit from this CCUS will include steel manufacturing, cement manufacturing, plantation, oil and gas, which are producing a lot of carbon dioxide and all those ozone damaging gases. So all these are actually making all these projects, CCUS, are making our environment more friendly and then ensure that we have a sustainable Earth for us to live in, because the Earth is ours and we need to protect them. Okay. And I'll spend a few minutes to go through a few stocks that I'll spend a few minutes to go through a few individual stocks, but then do bear in mind it's not any advice. I'll just briefly talk through a few stocks that I see there's more potential in Sarawak. For example, the first one is Bintulu Port. So Bintulu Port is kind of like a monopoly in the area, because for now the largest export import for Sarawak is coming from Bintulu, and their mainstream of income is now from the liquefied natural gas export import. And with all those hydrogen plant building up in Bintulu, in the future we also can see that they are still relevant when we see that green energy comes in. And Bintulu Port actually controls 2 ports, including Bintulu and also Samalaju Port. And for Samalaju, they actually have an industrial park, and a few companies are available in Samalaju Industrial Park, including the more famous one is Press Metal and OM Holdings and also other company lah. And something worth to look into is Wenan Steel, which is a major steel producer. They are actually building a very big plant in Samalaju Industrial Park, and then their capacity will be very large and will definitely bring a lot of upside for the port in Samalaju. So with all this, you can see a value expansion. And for Press Metal, we are actually seeing that because there's sanction towards Russia, because there's Ukraine-Russia war. So Russia itself is actually producing 5% of aluminium in the world. So with Press Metal, it's actually benefiting Press Metal as a company because there's sanction on Russia, so there's more demand for Press Metal product, aluminum production. Russia 6%. And also potential tariff hike from 2025 for Bintulu port, which sees a lot of potential for this deep sea port because for now the largest deep sea port is still in Bintulu, and most of the industrial heavy export and import is coming through the two ports controlled by Bintulu. And also, for example, MISC is they have Kasawari carbon capture and storage project, which is the CCUS that I mentioned earlier. And also they have EPC services for Rosemary. And for MISC wise, their business is also really diversified with energy shipping and offshore business. The merits point of MISC is they have a long-term LNG contract, which lasting between 10 to 20 years. And also they are also transforming into CCUS, which is making them one of the leader in this area. So oil and gas, traditionally, many things that is very traditionally people may think that oil and gas is very polluting, but then with all this latest technology, carbon capture and storage actually really helps to make our world greener. Okay, and other stocks, Dayang. Okay, so I believe I already hit the 1 hour mark lah. So I do have a few stocks, and if
But I think you can go ahead. Go ahead. No worries. Can go ahead. We just do a shorter Q&A.
okay. Okay. So for Dayang, so for Dayang, they also is also in the oil and gas, and so the darling, one of the oil and gas darling of Bursa Malaysia. So for them, they own 7 marine vessel, and also they provide a lot of maintenance services on their structure pipes wharf. The investment merit point that I'm looking at Dayang is actually the main beneficiary of the accelerated domestic capex by Petronas. So actually Petronas capex is available online, and then you guys can see which area they are allocating more capital expenditure on. And a few project, if you guys can see, it's actually from Maybank analyst report, they actually list out different area of oil and gas, and then which company are benefiting. I didn't include in the slide, but then you guys can look it through. And also growing order book for Dayang, and also experienced player with the upstream oil and gas industry. And also infrastructure cabling wise, I forgot to mention one thing is for Sarawak, they're actually planning to, they are actually doing it. Yeah, they want to sell electricity energy to Singapore. So they are actually building undersea cable, which are very beneficial for Sarawak in the long term as well, because Sarawak has extensive, have really great hydro energy, and then also a lot of renewable energy available in Sarawak. And then they can actually export the electricity to Singapore after building the undersea cable. So all these are actually actually Sarawak are really thinking ahead of time, and then they are thinking very long ahead of time to make sure that their revenue stream will increase, including selling electricity to Singapore. And Southern Cable is one of the Malaysia's largest power cable manufacturer. And yeah, so you can see that historically he has secured 22% Tenaga tender contract. And yeah, so beneficiary of NETR, which is recently announced, and also Tenaga is expected to gradually increase the bid value for power cables, benefiting SCG Berhad. And also import restriction on power cables. So Malaysia does not allow the import of power cables because there's restriction enforced by MITI. So you can see that Southern Cable as a local company in Sarawak, they can actually benefit from the Sarawak play lah. And also press metal. Press metal is the largest aluminum producer in Southeast Asia, and their line involved from bauxite, alumina mining to smelting, extrusion, and to trading and distribution. You can see that press metal is also invested heavily in Samalaju Industrial Park. They have 3 facilities in Samalaju Park, and then their efficiency rate exceeding 95%, means that they are producing at very high capacity, and I believe that press metal is still looking at expansion and also at more investment. So if Samaju allows press metal, then they may take up the next piece of land as well. And electricity costs, because why does all this heavy industrial, all they want is in Sarawak, because of the electricity cost is cheaper in Sarawak, and it's also green with all those hydropower. And also it's the biggest global user of aluminium packaging, transport, and construction industries. And this aluminium capacity is also growing in the Samalaju capacity. And yeah, so there's a few investment merit for press metal as well, which includes the ride on EV, because for aluminium, when we are producing the electric vehicle, we actually need a lot of aluminium, as aluminium is poised to be a rather light material, and also making with electric vehicle coming up in Peninsula Malaysia, we are actually seeing a lot of investment coming into EV as well. So, and also solar panel as well, with more company investing in solar panel, and all these are very strong trend, and all these are merits point for press metal. And okay, so you can see that there's actually, yeah, because the hydro tariff by the hydro energy is cheap in Sarawak and beneficiary of the green requirement. So I'll just briefly, there's actually some website that's available for us to screen different kind of team lah. So for example, if you want to know about the latest team of Johor, or maybe even Go, different kind of team, then you can come to this website. And over here, you can look at the team play watch list, and we have different kind of team. For example, Sarawak Infrastructure, we have IGM, Imbraco, Kim Loon, KB, and all these will be updated frequently lah. So there are different kind of team in Busan, Malaysia. For example, today Glove is one of the strongest team with one of the highest increase lah. So for Sarawak team, if you want to know more stock related to Sarawak or other especially Sarawak, you guys can come over here lah. We actually list them out and make sure that all the team are covered, and make sure that whenever there's strong team coming out, you want to know whenever there's a news, for example, e-invoicing, then some stock related to e-invoicing will benefit. So what are the list of stock in e-invoicing? If you want to search for them, you can come to Trade Wizard and then look at them. And then we actually prepare this slide. So if anyone would like to have a soft copy of my slide today, you can give me a small feedback on my presentation today. And yeah, so you can scan this QR code, or I will scan this QR code and then we will send the slide over to you lah, if you want a copy of my slide today. And also list of Sarawak related company, we also will send it over as a bonus for you to give me a feedback on my presentation today, and whether what have you learned or what you benefited. So thank you for the feedback before. Okay, so now I'll open up for Q&A.
Thanks so much, Charlie, for sharing with us what are the investment merit for Sarawak. So if you have any questions to ask our speaker today, you may write them at the Q&A box. We will address them accordingly. Remember to ask them at the Q&A box here, not the chat box. Okay, the first question is by Kennedy. Is there any countries in the world that has successfully developed or implemented the hydrogen economy? Can Sarawak emulate this path?
Okay, so I will say that the technology is there already. Like for example, Hornbill project, previously I mentioned like INEOS, oil firm INEOS or trading house Sumitomo Corp, they actually have the technology. So this is one of the project, Hornbill project. And second is the Hibiscus project with Samsung Engineering and Lotte Chemical. So if you want to see the one that have commercialized, I will say need to look down the route like next year lah, because China version of exporting their hydrogen energy will also be coming up next year, and Sarawak is also coming up. So the entire green hydrogen energy economy, actually the technology is there with Japan and Korea supporting. And then you can see that with, of course, because this because for China they are for China they are looking at around, I think, around 100 metric tons, and then Sarawak is around 90, something like that. So we do still need to look in next year on how the commercialization of China and then also Sarawak. And it's very scarce in the world because you need a lot of energy to produce the hydrogen energy, and then to be able to do that, there's not many places in the world you can do that. So for now, I would say comparatively there's not many other this hydrogen energy economy that we can reference to. Okay, hope that answer your question.
Thanks, Charlie. So in relation to the hydrogen energy, so the next question is by Yo, asking about what cost efficiency is there in hydrogen energy comparatively to the other green and renewable energy?
Okay, so hydrogen energy, of course, if you want to compare hydrogen energy, because hydrogen is the smallest. If you look at chemical the table, hydrogen is actually the smallest element. And then with hydrogen, if you watch like Oppenheimer, which is the movie, they actually are there's one scientist in the movie Oppenheimer, he made up the atomic bomb. So there's actually one guy even looking at hydrogen bomb. So atomic bomb is already, the impact is already that great. If hydrogen bomb, they say in the movie, they say they may even blow up the ozone layer. So hydrogen itself, the energy efficiency is definitely higher than usual green energy lah. And also to be able to export out from export to other countries, because a lot of developed countries, they are only looking at green energy option. And if you look at like European countries, definitely you can't have solar energy there. And yeah, can, but then the efficiency is definitely lower. And then what green energy you can be exported, the option is actually not that many. Because solar energy, you obviously you need to have that facility in your country itself. And then if you want to export, you want to transfer it into another energy form to be exported, then there's conversion weightage as well. So for hydrogen, is actually efficient in a way that they can be liquefied and then they can be exported and then they can be used in many areas, including transportation, industrial. And industrial is less, but then there's a few application, but then the main one for now I would say is still transportation. And also industrialization in developed countries, we are looking more of this green energy availability. So the thing is the transportation of energy, of the green energy. It's not so much about the green energy option, because we are looking at European countries or Japan or Korea, which they can produce solar, but then they need more energy to go on. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Charlie, for your view. So the next question is by Lily. By looking at the current price of hydrogen, in how many years should we expect hydrogen to be popular and more accepted in the market in terms of cost?
Okay, let me go back to my slide. So for hydrogen, we are seeing like Japan and Korea, they are actually launching, they have been investing a lot, because we do know that China is very focused on electric EV lah. And then before that, Japan, Korea, they are looking more towards hydrogen energy, and they want to skip this EV production for their car manufacturing. So they do have the technology to use the hydrogen car, but then they actually need the green hydrogen energy. So for green energy, we are looking at 2025 to be domestic use. And then for now, actually, the tram in KUTS in Kuching, they are actually experimenting on the hydrogen energy. But recently, they actually have something happening. We are not sure what happening, but then because it's an experimental stage, so we do expect such challenge. There's maybe some challenge faced in that area. So actually, hydrogen already can use, but then it's just like you need to have the facility available to increase the capacity and make them available to be exported. So 2 plants in Bintulu 2027 to serve the export market. So with that, we are looking at 2030 for a 2.4 billion of Sarawak GDP for this area from the green hydrogen economy. So yeah, so this is actually something really exciting, and then something that future looking stuff lah. So future looking stuff may be not so clear yet, and then normally investors is like that. So if you if the team is very clear already, everything is already ready already, then only you invest into that team or invest into the area, then you'll be late in the party. So normally investment is you look beforehand, and then the opportunity is there. You invest beforehand and make sure that before other find out the growth, then you can capitalize the growth. So these are actually, I would say, it's still we can't really have a prototype for us to see. Maybe you go over Sarawak, then you may be able to see lah. Just that always investment stuff is always unclear at the start, and then when you see the opportunity first, then you can capitalize. Yeah. Hope that answer your question.
Thanks, Charlie. So, the next question is hydrogen fuel better alternative to EV or internal combustion engine? Will H2 be the mobility fuel of the future?
Let me look at the. Can you repeat? Sorry, I didn't see it.
All right. Is hydrogen fuel a better alternative to EV or internal combustion engine? Will H2 be the mobility fuel of the future?
Definitely is EV competing to. We're not looking at the Malaysia landscape because for now, EV in Malaysia is still starting to commercialize, and then with all those facility building up, so Malaysia will definitely take some time for the EV. But then for China, they are actually very mature in their EV space already, with all those connectivity and also infrastructure building up on the EV. While for Japan and Korea, their hydrogen, because they invested a lot in hydrogen energy, and for certain countries with certain countries' agenda, then they for sure will push forward on the hydrogen energy roadmap lah. So I would say it can it it can be it can be can come hand in hand. Not to say that one if you have EV, then you need to exclude away the hydrogen mobility, or if you have hydrogen mobility, then you can exclude the EV. But then it's come with more option for the world, and then definitely based on country pushing their agenda, so we will see which one will prevail lah. But then I would say both have their pros and cons lah. And yeah, hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Charlie. When you talk about the issue of hydrogen, is how to export and transport this product? Is any Malaysian company involved in towards this direction?
How do I export and import? Okay. So if the plant is in Kuching and in Bintulu, then definitely the port will be one of the major beneficiary for Kuching their port, and also Bintulu their port. It will definitely be a beneficiary. And then hydrogen energy for now is external listed company from Japan, from Korea, investing their technology in Sarawak. So for now, I would say probably some oil and gas company will also diversify into this area lah. So worth to research on lah. For now, I don't have the exact company on hydrogen economy, but then with oil and gas player, they definitely have more, they have alternative as well. So they can work in hydrogen project and also hydrogen economy, making the entire landscape more diversified and also more vibrant. For now, I don't have the company, but if you say if it's in Bintulu, then for sure Bintulu port will be benefited lah. And then if it exported to Korea and Japan, then the hydrogen car over there will be more commercialized as well. Yeah.
Mm. All right. No, we know that Indonesia is moving the capital to Kalimantan. So how will this impact the Sarawak's economy?
Okay. So if you are for myself, I would say that it's a long-term game. We are not looking at 5 to 10 years. We are looking at maybe 10 to 20 years down the road, because moving a capital is definitely involve a lot of infrastructure and construction building. And then if Indonesia capital is the focus there, then there will be more trades between Sarawak, Sabah, and also Indonesia, because you can just like exchange resource through land route. And also energy wise, Kalimantan will, I would say, it's still very pre-early stage. So it's actually a very long-term play lah. So trades wise, if you want to say apart from trade, probably talent will also be a key factor lah. Because if you see that they are having the capital there, they want to focus a lot of investment in that area, then it will be a major capital hub. It's, a lot of hub will be in there. Human capital hub, and also technology hub. All those we are looking to be centered at that Borneo Island. So it's very optimistic, as in with Indonesia coming in Kalimantan. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
Thank you so much, Charlie, for sharing your view. Now, what are the Malaysian company list? What are Malaysian or Sarawakian public listed company that would be a direct beneficiaries of the hydrogen economy?
I thought the similar question was asked.
You have answered already, right? If you answer, then we can skip. So are there any technology barrier for hydrogen energy usage compared to EV?
Okay, so the entire for example, EV, you are looking at the battery. The main core of EV is the battery, right? And then for hydrogen, you were definitely looking something like pumping the liquefied hydrogen into the hydrogen car. So EV pros and cons are, like for example, EV you may take time to charge, but with the charging technology coming up, then you may see the charging time lesser. So many people using EV, they are saying that you need to wait half an hour. If you are driving halfway, then you jam, then suddenly no electricity. Then what will happen? But for hydrogen car, you're actually looking at something that is something similar to petroleum, I would say, which you can be pumped into your car. And for hydrogen car, we are looking something like will be a modified motor of our traditional car. While EV, we are looking at battery, which is very different ball game to say lah. Which also both have their pros and cons, and both are green energy incline, and both are very potential in their area lah. Okay, maybe one last question.
Okay, let's do one last question. Does precious metal still encounter power supply problem in the manufacturing plants in Sarawak? I'm not sure if you know about this.
Power supply problem in power supply, I'm not sure, but then if you want to research on that matter, you would look, if I were to research on that, I would look into what are the coverage. Is the disruption, power supply disruption dangerous or serious or not? If the power disruption is serious, then because yeah, so I'm actually looking if because for precious metal they are also using hydro energy. So if there's disruption in energy, they have actually 3 plants. And also Sarawak is also building up more hydropower dam to back up, because sometimes there will be some power supply disruption. But then with more energy online, with more hydro energy online, then there may be spare energy lah. But then for precious metal disruption case, I'm not that sure lah. But
Right.
then yeah.
Yeah, there are still a lot of questions on other companies. I think unfortunately our time has run out, and whatever views that the speaker has given thus far is only his view, and it shall not be construed as an investment advice. Okay, because none of us are licensed investment advisors, so you should seek seek investment advice from your licensed investment advisor. Okay. So with that, I will just take over the slide control. So thank you so much, Charlie from Optimus, for sharing with us about the investment potential in Sarawak. So ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from the COO of Optimus, who is Mr. Charlie Yuan. Thank you so much, Charlie, for your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.